Hey, we are your hosts, NixMyth.
And Kylie Jo Smith. And today's episode is called I Can't Even.
Sorry, I was lost in that. Subtitle is How We Misunderstand Laziness. Laziness.
Lazy.
But before we get started, quit it. Whatever you're doing right now, stop doing it.
I see you. Stop it.
Yeah, just stop and share this. That's what you need to be doing. I don't know what you were doing, but I know what you need to do is share this episode.
Yeah.
And so go on social media, share it, text a friend.
Unless you're driving, then wait.
Then call a friend. Use your sync app. I don't know what you need to do.
Just
use
drive.
Siri, use Google.
You don't need to do anything but
hey,
drive.
if anyone has hey Alexa, share this episode. Hopefully that got somebody's Alexa. That was
funny.
awesome. And then I also want to say congrats to our giveaway winners.
Yes, Tyler, Matt, and Luke. Woo! Yay!
Oh, wait, I have a sound
Studio's going
effect. Hold on.
crazy. Oh, go for it.
Hold on. Wait for me. It's in the thing.
I love it. Thank you, Roadcast.
So
Yes.
there's that. I totally forgot I had that, but I'm glad we used it.
Good.
So if you don't know why we did all that, we just had our
1
year
year
anniversary.
Yes.
And not us as a married couple, but as a podcast.
No, we've been in this a lot longer than
We've been
that.
in the game for real. But the podcast has been here for years, so we gave away some stuff. One of the things we gave away was actually something that is now going to be on pre-sale.
I love this. This thing is so cool. This is
tumbler.
like, it's high quality, first
It
of all.
is.
I'm just going to do a little demonstration
There you
here.
go. Show it off. If you're not watching, you need to watch this.
Check this out. Stainless steel.
Hand wash
And
only.
Look at that.
It's
looks
got
so
It's got
good.
the logo on
This
it.
is locally made. We actually were able to patronize a local business.
That's right. During such a crazy time as
Yes.
this. So we will be having these, but Luke won this one.
Yes.
Well, not this one. This is actually
We're
one of
touching
ours.
all over it.
But Luke
This
has
one's
a
Luke's.
new one that doesn't have our fingerprints and germs all over it. One thing I noticed, we haven't had any women win anything yet.
I know. You know, I'm a little disappointed.
Where the ladies at?
Ladies.
This one's for my ladies. No.
All the single ladies.
Or
All the
married
any ladies. Any
Or
ladies.
divorced ladies.
I think some of it is, I don't know. It's weird because we can actually see like insights on our social media and our website and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird how much information you can get and how much all that. Anyway, mostly women engage with our content.
Mm-hmm.
So ladies, I know you're paying attention.
But they're not sharing.
know
Y'all
you're
need to share
listening.
this stuff. Next time we have a giveaway, I'm going to expect there to be a lot of women in the pool.
Yes,
The
we need
pile of
equal
names.
representation here because we
Yes.
have one male and one female.
Come on now. Step
So
it up, y'all. Step
my lady friends,
it up. Oh,
you can win this. This is a totally unisex tumbler.
It is. It's
Actually, like one of our Patreon supporters
that's right. We're still working
is
on the
getting
name.
the patronage.
Patronages. But yeah, so ladies, step it up. Also,
Yeah.
again, these are going to be on sale on our website.
Pre-order.
Pre-order. The reason we do that, y'all, is because I don't want to have 60 of these laying around the house and then be trying to figure out what to do with them. So I want you guys to order them so I know how many we need, and then we pass that right on.
Plus, we
to
have
you.
children, and we don't want them disappearing. Our kids would
Yes.
turn them into some sort
Toys.
of toy.
There's also stickers. Show the sticker.
Hey, check it out.
That those are going to be on sale on our website as well.
Yeah, these are really nice vinyl. These are also from RD Graphics. Thank you,
Yes.
RD.
Thanks, Daryl at RD Graphics.
Mm-hmm.
Legit. Okay, so I can't even.
I can't even. You have
can't-
to say it like that.
I can't even say it like that.
I can't even.
I can't do it.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing about
There's just something about like.
the whininess in the voice. Why are we talking about this? Okay, so first off, I don't know if anybody else is dealing with this, but it seems like in this socially active time online where we're dealing with a lot of social interaction online, we're dealing with a lot of distance learning, we're dealing with all sorts of stuff digitally, virtually, it makes me feel super lazy. Like I just run out of energy. The other day I was in a class all day and I get back to the house. I'm like, I don't even want to make any decisions. Like I don't care what we eat. I don't care what the kids are doing. I just don't. I don't
Yeah.
want to make any decision.
Yeah.
But it gives me this, I don't know, just like I feel lazy. Like, man, I should have more energy. I haven't really done anything. I've just been sitting there staring at a screen all day. But turns out, as the turntables, it turns out that decision making, even virtual decision making, can tire you the mess out.
Yeah.
I was reading this book, and it really challenged this understanding. It's Kylie Joe, you worded it. It's a paradigm shift that your laziness, or what you perceive as laziness, what other people perceive as laziness, can actually be a form of mental exhaustion.
Which is so crazy. When you first explained it to me, I was like, wait.
That's a scapegoat.
Yeah, because I was like, you just don't want to say you're lazy. Not you personally, but I was like.
Me too, though.
I was like, but there are things about which I know I am lazy. Like me personally, I know like I just don't want to do that thing.
Yeah, and this isn't to give a blanket like get out of jail free clause. Like, we're not saying if you're lazy, blame it on this. No, sometimes we're just being lazy. Like sometimes people are just don't have the gumption to do what they need to do. But there are other times. Here's this cool example that they gave in this book, and the book that I read is called Switch. So if you're navigating any change in any corporation, any organization, any nation, any radio station, I just wanted to keep going with the Asians, race relation, any of that. Check this book out, Switch. It's really good. But one of the things they talk about is they gave this example of they brought these college students in, and they told them like, hey, we're putting this delicious cookie in front of you, and then we also have these radishes. Now, they split them up. I mean, they each went in individually, but they had a test group, right? So some of them, they said, hey, we want you to have one of these cookies. It's part of the study. We just want to get your feedback on this cookie, and they ate the cookie. The other people, we said, hey, we want you to eat a radish. We're doing a study to see how you respond in the presence of this cookie.
Oh, the cookies with
the cookies there.
Got you. So both cookies and radishes in front of both groups. Gotcha.
And so the people that ate the radish, none of them cheated. None of them, because they left them in the room alone. None of them were like, I ain't nobody looking. I'm gonna give me a cookie. They ate the radish and we're fine. So then the testers came back in and they said, hey, before you go, we're doing a separate study, but we want you to participate. We want you to see how quick you can solve this maze. Now the mazes that they gave these kids were unsolvable, but they told them, they're like, hey, you can solve this maze. We just want to see how long it's going to take you. So what they found out is the people that ate the cookie, the people that didn't have to exert self-control, that didn't have any decision-making to do, that didn't have to use up any mental energy, they tried and persisted longer at the puzzle.
Wow.
They did it like 3 times longer. Whereas the people that ate the radish that had to sit there in the room being like, man, I want that cookie, but I can't have it. And they had to focus and mentally engage and keep themselves in check. When it came time to doing this puzzle, they gave up super quick.
Wow.
Like, even though some could look at that and be like, well, they were obviously smarter because they knew it was unsolvable. No, they gave up. They're just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not dealing with this. And what they understand with this is that decision-making and attention and really just caring in general about what you're doing, engaging mentally, is an exhaustible resource.
Wow.
And so as you're going through your day and you're making decision after decision after decision, and you're engaging, and even if they're hypothetical decisions, you're still engaging your brain to the point when you get to this place where you start having to make actual decisions in your life. Like when I come home and it's like, hey, Nick, what do you want for dinner? And I'm like,
discipline.
I don't even know. Like, I don't care. At this point, I've run out of give a stuff. As that's
give a care.
Give a care. Give a shoot.
Give a darn.
Give a shucks. Okay, we'll give a up on that. Don't. And so I just thought it was a really interesting concept, and so I wanted to bring it to our peeps.
Yeah.
Because
that's good.
That laziness that we feel a lot of times is actually a symptom of being mentally exhausted. And this season with the COVID, with trying to navigate work and dealing with your kids, if you're homeschooling, God has a special just grace for you because
the end is near.
It's coming. It's summertime. So,
but I mean the schooling part.
Yes,
hopefully,
Lord willing. And so there's this malaise that gets us. And so I just wanted to bring it to the table. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, just hearing what you said about having so many hypothetical decisions to make, I'm thinking about this generation.
Okay.
Mostly we talk about millennials. We're a part of the millennial generation.
Yes, millennials are not children, just so you all know. Like 30s and 40s are millennials.
Yeah, we are millennials. But also Generation Z, right? Is that what it is? Z? Okay.
Yep.
What's going to come after Z? It's so weird. It's the last
Double
letter.
A. We're going
the battery generation.
We're going to do letters and numbers. I don't know.
But anyway, this generation, like, they have so much of that put on them. We have so much of that put on us. I remember hearing so much as a kid. You can be whatever you want to be. Do whatever you want to be. Do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. And now, I mean, it's even more with, like, I mean, regards to gender and career and anything in life. You can do and be whoever and whatever and however and whenever. There are so many hypotheticals wrapped up in those things that a person can become mentally bogged down with, to where then they're paralyzed when it comes time to choose what you want to major in college. And your parents are freaking out because why haven't you picked something? There's only 3,000 options. And you're sitting there thinking about, okay, I have one shot at picking the one thing that I'm going to be good at for the rest of my life. That's what most of the pressure is leading us to. But that just drains us. And then you get into that schooling environment, or you get into that whatever it is, and it's like, I can't even do this. I'm so bogged down with what am I going to be and who am I going to be and how am I going to be. And that can come off as laziness. I know I have thought that before about the younger generation of, like, y'all just lazy. But if you think about it, this generation is so on social media more than we were at that age.
Yeah, they're social natives now. Like they their whole lives, social media has been a thing.
Exactly. And so it's like they're dealing with these hypothetical virtual situations, these virtual relationships a lot of times, not even knowing people face to face.
Yeah.
Even before the quarantine.
Yeah.
And they're dealing with all of these things, and these, like, I can't even imagine having all of that going through your mind. And then we wonder why they have social anxiety.
Yeah.
We wonder why they don't want to engage at coffee shops. We wonder because for us, it's like, what is your problem? Why can't they're just people? But to them, it's like, I have run through every scenario in my mind.
Yeah, there's so many decisions. I've analyzed every emoji. I've analyzed every comment, every and as we're feeding ourselves with our digital feeds, our brains are constantly analyzing, and with so much, especially with the COVID stuff, but in general, we're going to come up on an election here pretty soon. There's always a thing. There's always something that that is begging for our attention, that is making us worry, that's making us stress, that's making us try to hypothetically engage. I couldn't remember what word.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically. Trying to make us engage.
Yeah.
And then when it comes time to deal with regular relationships, what ends up happening is we fall back into our regular routine, our regular ruts. And one thing that I've noticed especially during quarantine, is our mental energy is expended in all this stuff. If you're in Zoom meetings all day, if you're having to send emails, if you're having to figure out lesson plans, you have all these decisions to make. And then the list of things you wanted to do, like, man, I really wanted to read this book. I really wanted to exercise. I wanted to learn Spanish. I want all these things that you wanted to do, you now no longer have the energy for. So what you do is you go home, or you go to the other room because you're already home, and you open up a pack of Oreos and you just chill and watch Netflix, because
Oreos and chill.
Right. Because you don't have the energy, mental energy, to engage in another thing.
Yeah.
And so we find ourselves falling into these ruts, these habits that are not always productive.
Yeah.
And it happens, and it's viewed as laziness because we're using so much of our mental energy, so much of our decision-making resource.
Yeah.
We're using it in areas that don't really matter. Like we're allowing ourselves to stress and fret and manage and micromanage and try to argue with people online and trying to discern, which news source is actually telling the truth, trying to discern who said what when, is this person really dead, what's up with Betty White? Like, we're trying to figure all this stuff out, and we can't actually do the things that we need to do. And so then we're back watching Tiger King and we're eating nachos. Like, and at the end of the day, you're like, man, I didn't do anything today.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you did. You just didn't you didn't focus on the right things.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, like, Martha and Mary, right? Like the story of Martha and Mary. When Jesus comes, Martha and Mary are living at home. They're just doing their thing. And Martha starts getting dinner prepared. She starts stressing. She's running errands. She's, you know what I mean, doing all this stuff, trying to make sure Postmates are going to be there on time. She's trying to organize everything. And Mary is just sitting at the feet of Jesus, which, by the way, is not demeaning. Mary isn't sitting beneath Jesus like
No.
Jesus is setting a cup on her head. No, Mary is sitting at her feet, or at his feet, just like the other disciples were sitting at his feet.
Yeah, it's actually a position, if you look at the entire context of Jesus's ministry, it is putting Mary equal with the disciples and the apostles.
Yeah.
So just as a side note, a lot of times we look at the women in scripture and there's a lot of analyzing and over analyzing. There's also a lot of minimizing of what the women's role is and was in ministry.
Yeah.
And that is one instance that I go back to a lot is in most cases, the women were not expected to learn in the same position or in the same capacity as the
even
men.
in the same room as men.
Yeah, and yet
culture.
in Jesus's walk with these women and men, he showed the proper place for all people who desire to be in community with him. So that's just that's for free.
Yeah,
that's for free, y'all. In case you didn't know.
And just to add a little on the end of that.
Go ahead,
well,
preacher.
On the end of that, when Paul is given his pedigree later on, when he's talking to the church, he says, "I sat at the feet of Gamaliel."
Yep.
Or however you say his name. I like saying Gamaliel.
Gamaliel.
Some people say Gamaliel. Some people say G-Dog. But what Paul is saying is not, I was subservient and I was looked down upon by Gam. He's saying, that's who taught me. That was my teacher.
Yeah.
And so when we see Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus, that's the same concept, the same relationship of like, that's who teaches me. I'm learning from Jesus. Anyway, back to this. So in that setting, you see Mary chose the right thing, the better thing.
And it will not be taken.
And it won't be taken. Jesus said, listen, there's a bunch to do, but only one thing matters.
Yeah. And if you've ever spent all day cleaning and cooking, that will be taken from you, especially if you have children.
Immediately.
You will do it and you will be happy with the work you did and it will be snatched up just like the seed on the path with the birds. Snatched up, never be seen again.
Did you just call the children the ravens on the path? They
don't have to know. They don't have to know.
We won't tell them. Well, they'll listen to this later.
Yeah.
But yeah, you spend all day doing these things. And why? Because we feel like when we're worried about things, when we're micromanaging things in our lives, that we have some sense of control.
Yeah.
And we're not focused on the things that really matter in our life. We're not focused on eternity. We're not focused on even investing in lasting relationships, like even taking it out of the realm of just specifically talking to believers. Even if you're not a believer, are you focusing on the relationships that matter in your life? Or are you busy on Call of Duty? You know what I mean? Like, are you on your computer? Are you on your games? Are you actually engaging with the people you live with the people you love? Like, when's the last time you called your mama? Call her. Call her and say what's happening.
Mom wants you to say hi.
She needs a phone call. I don't know who this is for, but somebody needs to know. Call your mom right now.
And your dad.
And both of them. Give them a shout. Investing in the things that truly matter. Because 5 years from now, when we're looking back at 2020, we're not going to be like, man, I'm so glad I binge watched all of Netflix. Like, my life is so much better.
Yeah.
But what we invest in now is going to pay off in dividends if we put it in the right place.
Yeah.
Like if we're investing in our family, we're investing in our friendships, we're investing in scripture and our eternity.
Yeah.
Like, those things will matter.
Yeah, they do matter.
They
don't
matter now.
Yeah.
Even.
And something that I think I know that I've recognized this for myself. And we've talked about it. Like there will be times where there will be like an irritability, where it's like, gosh, what is wrong? Like you're irritable. There's something like you're just kind of aggravated, like in your spirit. And for me, identifying the competing affections was incredibly life-changing.
Yeah.
Because instead of pretending that I'm focused on this thing, when really my mind and my heart are focused over here, I'm able to say, oh, you know what? I'm really focused on this. So then this thing that's in front of me, I need to then own up to whether or not that's important.
Yeah.
And if it is, then I need to put this away and focus on the real thing. But if it's not, then I need to come to terms with why is this thing in my heart actually getting my attention? Why is this? Why is that my focus? And we just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
Like most of us would benefit from admitting that we are addicted to human validation.
Yeah.
Most of us would be freed if we could at least put a name to it and say, you know what? I really thrive on people validating my posts on social media.
Yeah.
Like we may say on one hand, I'm really, really focused and I'm really, really drawn to this art form. I really want to work on this art form. I want to,
Yeah.
this is my craft. But every time you do this thing, you're dissatisfied because what you're really wanting is validation from people.
Come on now.
So you're not dissatisfied with the art or the process or anything. And this is good. But what you're really, you have to be able to say what you really want. And so when we're having a lot of the energy that we're expending, and not to sound new agey, but like this mental energy is not just, well, I don't know where to focus it. It's that, no, you need to be real with yourself about where your energy is. Like, where are you really seeking wholeness?
Yeah.
And from where do you draw your identity and your sense of purpose and worth?
Yeah.
And honestly, like, first thing in the morning for me, it's become so important for me to just stop. I used to have a thing that was hanging by my bedside table, and it broke. But it said, but first Jesus.
Yeah.
Then everything else.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's like, it's so simple. But like, if the first thing that you reach for, it's so simple. It's so easy.
It's so just do
but
it.
If the first thing you reach for is your phone and the very first thing your thumb goes to, like that's just a great litmus test.
Yeah.
Where does your hand go first thing in the morning? And I'm not trying to be uber religious and say you need to have that hand right on your Bible when you first wake up.
But ain't nothing wrong with it.
But hey.
Can't hurt you. Can't hurt you.
But if you're drawn immediately and the thumb just goes right to that app, and the very first thing that you see in the morning, you're just searching, you're dry and you are searching for something to soak in. And the first thing you see is, oh, I only have 4 notifications.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, my news feed it hasn't updated.
Already
saw those TikToks.
You've already, in your mind, you've started this spiraling of worthlessness and this narrative for yourself. And now your energy is going to be, no matter what you do the rest of the day, no matter how many meetings you have on Zoom, no matter what lesson plans you have to do, no matter what dinner you have to make, your mind is now fixed on
failure.
That.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things you said about that frustration or that irritability, I find that when I'm in those moments and I'm frustrated at the thing in front of me, the situation in front of me, whether it's the dogs barking or like my children wanting their dad's attention, Lord forbid, right, that I have to actually parent my children.
All the time.
Every day. We got to do it. But when I realize that there's some sort of thing competing for my attention or competing for my heart at that moment, when I ignore it and I just push through and continue being irritable with my children, then I never get the opportunity to own up to my shortcomings. Then I can always blame the external thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to put my feet. I'm just trying to do this other thing, and you are you are messing with me. Why can't I just do the thing I want to, instead of being like, wait, why is this other thing more important than what truly matters?
Exactly.
And when I can evaluate that in my life, when I can look at the decision making or where my mental energy is going and evaluate, is that truly important? Because if it's not, then
throw it away.
Then I have to make a choice.
Yeah.
I know we're talking about decision fatigue and all that stuff, but in the midst of that, making the choice to disregard or to remove my attention from this will allow me to actually exert attention and energy in areas that it matters.
And to be productive in those areas.
Yeah.
Because when I am 100% in the moment with my kids, when I am eye contact and we're talking and listening to each other, there is just something about that it can't be taken away.
Yeah.
Like that in that moment, it's like, this is real. We're doing something here. We're forming connections.
Yeah.
Same, with your spouse. Like at the end of the day, where's your focus?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something that I know we're missing it right now because we, at the beginning of quarantine and kind of in the middle, it's like, oh, this is time to reconnect as a family. And now we're getting to the end of it, or what we think is the end of it.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, we're done now. Like, when can we go back to normal?
When can I go back to ignoring the people that I live with?
Yeah, because I'm so frustrated and it's just so much. And I just can't even.
I can't even. Well, and going even to the idea of physical laziness, right? What you had said earlier about what is it that you actually want? Like, what's your actual desire?
Ooh, preach on that one.
A lot of times we get physically lazy because we're valuing our comfort, and we'd much rather spend the time and the mental energy and all that on stuff external, in that sphere of worry, and not in the sphere of control, or not control, the sphere of influence.
Yeah.
And one of the things that manifests in is you can get so mentally exhausted that you physically don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah.
Like I physically just don't want to get up. I know
Yeah.
I just bought all this gym equipment and not using it.
Anybody else?
You know what I mean? Like I just bought some new running shoes. I'm not out running.
Right.
And it's because I just can't right now.
Yeah.
And if that's where you are, look at your life and see, do you actually value your physical health, your physical stewardship? Or are you valuing all these other hypothetical worries? One of my life verse actually is Matthew 6:33, which is seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto it. And then the next one, 6:34, is don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow has enough worries of its own. And I have been guilty of that. Just yesterday, I was so far ahead in my mind, like, oh man, I got this to do and this to do and this to do and this. And really at that moment, I didn't have anything that I could do about any of it.
Yeah.
Just at that moment, I needed to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And so really evaluate, what is it that you truly value? And are you investing in that?
Yeah. And what's competing for your affection? Because I know it's kind of a loose connection to the scripture, but Jesus talked about money. And he said a lot. He said that you cannot serve two masters.
Yeah.
You will what? Hate the one
and love the other.
And love the other, or despise in another translation. Like maybe it's not about money, or maybe it is for you, but you can't have two things that you're going after with the same intensity. Like, and this is speaking about who should really be on the throne of your heart. You can't have two kings there.
Yeah.
You can't be king and then let Jesus take over every now and then when you really can't handle it and you need some help.
Right.
Social media can't be king or God in your life. Your spouse can't be king or God in your life. Your children can't. There has to be an understanding of right placement, right worship, right kingship. So that when we place the person on the throne who's supposed to be there, the competing affection thing it kind of goes off. Like it works itself out. When everything is in its rightful place, it works itself out. And so really understanding and admitting, okay, I've got some things competing for my affection and my attention. I'm allowing some things to drive my motivation and my thought processes that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And acknowledge where that's draining you.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've all had those conversations where you're tooking.
You tooked it. You tooked it.
I tried to combine the word talking and looking at the same time.
Ooh, I like that.
Didn't work.
Locking.
When you're
I was just locking at her, talking and looking.
Tooking at her, took at me. When you are looking at someone and talking to them, and there is a look on their face, you can just tell, like, you're not
here
paying any attention to me right now.
You're not even here.
We can do that, like with people, but we can also do that with lots of tasks in our lives,
life situations.
Man, I remember my grandma used to be able to do stuff while she was watching TV. Or she would just multitask, what I thought. And I was like, oh man, I want to be like that. I want to be able to do that when I grow up. And then realizing it's like grandma wasn't really multitasking. She knew when to take a pause from one thing and then pick up on the other. Yeah,
which I want to jump in here for just a second.
Go ahead and jump in.
They have proven multitasking is not a thing. And somebody right now is like, yes, it is. I multitask all the time.
You actually can't.
So
you like our brains are not able to.
Yeah, like they say women are better at multitasking than men. But the truth is, your attention is always going to be more on one thing than the other. And what women are better at doing is switching back and forth quicker than men.
Typically.
Yeah, the stereotypical
Some of us
thing. I can switch back and forth between conversations. So like
it's weird.
If I'm talking to Kylie
Very
Jo
weird.
and someone behind me or behind Kylie Jo is talking and having a conversation, or in the other room, I can listen to this conversation and check in every now and again with the other one and not miss a beat on either one.
See, and I can't do it, and I really kind of get annoyed with it because I'm like, you're not listening to me.
But I am listening. I am. It'll be in those moments where we'll be talking and I'll be like,
you'll repeat everything I said, so I know you heard it.
And I'm listening. But it's also in those moments where like it's come in handy where we'll be sitting here having a conversation. I'm like, we need to go check on the kids right now. Why? I just heard Isaiah say, watch this. And it's like, I know that that's not going to end well. So we need to go check on the kids.
True. That's true.
And so like it has come in handy. But anyway, that's multitasking. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
But all that to say, like the mental multitasking.
Yeah.
Or what you think, like what we look at and say, oh, well, that person, they're well-rounded and they do so many things. And you know what? There is a lot that goes on behind the scenes and behind the eyes that we don't see that could actually be harmful.
Yeah.
That person may have a lot to show on the outside, or you may yourself have a lot to show for where you expend your energy, but how is that draining you on the inside?
Yeah. What areas of your life are you not actually experiencing growth that need to experience growth?
Yeah.
We've been kind of sprinkling in some practicality throughout all this, but let's go ahead and focus on that.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Practicality, what you got?
So if you have a smartphone, and we're Apple users, so if you have an iPhone, we know for sure, there is a way for you to track how you use your phone. And a lot of it is, it's very simple. If you go to your settings, you should be able to find it. How much time are you spending? It gives you a screen time analysis. So you know exactly how long you've had your phone on and open.
And which type of apps you use and which apps specifically.
Yeah. And it will tell you over time, like, oh, you used your phone 10% less this week than you did last week, or you were on this app 5% more. I would really encourage you, if you have a smartphone and you're able to do that, look at how you are spending your time. There is no better way. There's nothing better than having an actual metric to measure these things against, because everyone can sit down and say, well, I don't spend that much time on my phone. I spend a lot of time in my Word. If you start setting timers and you start, or stopwatches, which you can also do on a smartphone, you may find that you're not spending as much time on the things that you say matter to. And we've talked about this before in another episode, using the time rubric in the matrix of like, are you spending your time on things that are urgent and important?
Yeah.
And et cetera. So go back and find that episode if you want to know more about it. But really look at where you're spending your time. Start with that.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can start to see the areas that you need to pull back in.
Yeah,
like, why did you spend 8 hours on Facebook on your phone?
And see, if you have a Facebook, like if you have a job and you're selling stuff on Facebook and you can say, that's actually how I was spending my time. That's
Good for
one
you.
thing.
Teach us something.
Tell us, or not tell us, admit to yourself if what you say you believe and what you say you value lines up with what you're actually doing. Because it's not about, if you're on your phone, you're a bad person. No, but if you say you value alone time, or you say you value your whatever, and it doesn't line up with how you're spending your actual time, then you don't really value that. That's just the truth of it.
Yeah.
And until you do that, you're not going to be able to identify these areas and start to apply this this practical stuff to it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to jump to start to say no to things.
Practice with us. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
No.
Oh, sorry. See, it's hard. It's tough.
You can even say no, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thanks.
Nah. But there are things that are fighting for your attention that don't need it.
Yeah.
There are things that are emergent that are not important.
Yes.
And so you have to know, based on what you value, what to say no to.
Yeah. And it may seem weird if you have things going on in your mind, like, why do I have to say no to that? But there's power in our words, right? And so let's say if you're someone who struggles with cascading thoughts or anxiety, sometimes just thinking, oh gosh, I shouldn't be thinking that. That's not an empowering thought.
No.
That's a crippling thought.
Yeah, that's
a debilitating thought. But an empowering thought is, no, I am not going to think that. No, thought, you don't have power in my mind right now. And it's not a weird new agey thing. It's just you being able to take ownership.
Yeah, Paul says take every thought captive.
Right. And if that's one way you need to do it, is to verbally say, no, stop the train. That is not reality. That's not what's going to happen today. Today, I'm going to do this.
That's not how I'm going to expend my energy.
Yes.
Well, and if you have a problem saying no, if you're one of those people that really struggle saying no.
You are codependent, and there's a group for that.
There is. But you have to understand that everything you say yes to, you're saying no to the opposite. So you're already saying no to
You're going to say no anyway, even without saying it.
Exactly. So when you're saying when you're saying yes to extra things, or you're saying yes to your phone, let's just jump there. You're saying yes to Facebook. You're saying no to sometimes internal peace.
Yeah.
And so if you were to ask yourself that question, do I want Facebook or do I want internal peace? No one would, in their right mind would be like, well, I clearly don't want internal peace. But you have to know, whenever you say yes to something that causes conflict, you're saying no to peace.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you're saying yes to something that causes chaos in your life, you're saying no to the peace of Christ that surpasses understanding. Like, whenever you say yes, you are still saying no to something else.
Yeah.
And so maybe word it the other way. Me saying no to you is actually saying yes to something better.
Mm.
Me saying no to the situation, no to my involvement, no to commenting, no to whatever, no to stressing out about this right now, is actually saying yes to something greater in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
and all, what is it? All are yes. Wait, what is it? All are yeses. What is it? What's the scripture where it says?
What are you saying about?
It's
in
the.
Him we find our yes and amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that is correct.
And
Nick.
amen in Jesus. Also,
preacher over here doesn't have his Bible memorized. Can't help me out.
It was like you were.
It's like it's the yes of Jesus.
It's like I was Google and you were mistyping it and it was out of order and I was like,
backspace.
Did you mean
NIV or ESV?
Is that the New Literal Translation? Anyway, also figure out the areas in your life where you're experiencing burnout, where you're manifesting laziness is how I'm going to say it. When you start to feel like, I just can't even
like, say it like that.
I'm not gonna do it. Look at your life and figure, you tried to get me. I saw that. Look at your life and figure out, why is it that I don't have energy here?
Yeah.
What areas of my life am I actually expending too much energy that I need to pull back from?
Yeah. And burnout is not, I'm doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
Burnout is I'm putting too much energy in the wrong place.
Yes. I'm doing too much in an area that doesn't feed me, that doesn't give me life, that I don't get joy from.
Yeah.
And so good stuff.
There's a lot more that practically you can do, but
listen to this podcast. Practically, come on.
In the effort to keep the list small and not overwhelm you with too many choices, this is where we really feel, and we found starting is the best. Evaluate where you're spending your time. Say no to the things that are robbing you, that are depleting you, that are draining you, that you dread thinking about or going to.
Yeah.
And then
if you can, like,
if you can identify those things.
Well, I'm saying if you can say no, like if you have a real issue, like
can't say no to your children
in your marital relationship. We're not saying no to that.
Job,
maybe
to some
figure
extent.
out those things so you can say yes to them.
Yes, and most of these things are going to be internal.
Yeah,
because we know that it's what's inside of us that manifests in reality, in relationships. So it's not just find out who you need to say no to. Don't hear that.
Yeah.
Who do you need to eliminate from your life? That's not what we're saying.
No.
But we are saying where in here do you need to start saying no and putting up some boundaries and figure out where you're experiencing that burnout.
Yeah, that's good.
And we know, like, obviously prayer
Pray.
is the best place to start
Be in your word.
In the quiet.
Download the Dwell app.
Oh man, that is a good practical one.
Yeah.
Dwell is a great app.
If you don't listen to Dwell, do it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Google it.
Dwell app.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is good.
We could talk forever.
Yeah.
We should keep talking together as a married couple.
We probably will when we get done with this. We'll probably go upstairs and keep talking.
And have more conversations.
And work out in the yard again.
Awesome. If you want to join and have more conversations with us, join our Patreon.
Yes.
We're also working on getting our Discord up and going.
Yeah, which is, can you explain it? Because you explained it to me. It was really cool.
Yeah, so Discord is going to be, commercial break. We're just going to watch you. Go ahead and drink your drink. Discord is a program. A lot of people use it for games, online gaming, and some classrooms use it. But it's a place where we can have like group chat. We can have Q&As. We can have even Bible study if we wanted to. And we can start integrating video and we can start integrating audio. And if you want to be a part of that, a part of our conversation and have more access to us and get more in-depth answers to whatever you're struggling with, as far as we can help by the leading of the Holy Spirit. We're not professionals except for in the things we know. Not in psychology, psychiatry.
You're so disqualifying us from, we can help, but not too much, and don't rely on us at all, please.
I don't want anybody being like, Pastor Nick, I need help with my taxes. I can't help you with that. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Can you help me gut a fish?
No, I can do that. I mean, just not from the internet. Anyway, if you want to be a part of our conversation, check out our Patreon. Look for our Discord. It is coming soon.
Yes.
Buy you a mug. Come on now.
Yeah.
Get on it.
We're okay. So side note about the podcast, just wrapping it up here.
Okay.
We are about to start launching some things that are going to be more engaging where we've been creating some more content. This has been a great time for that for us. Actually, this episode kind of flowed from that, just being able to evaluate where are we spending our time, what is competing for our attention, even with our podcasts. And we even had to sit down and say, is the podcast competing for too much attention, or are we not focusing energy where it needs to be within that? And so just know, before we had to share it with you, we had to actually experience a lot of this. Right. But we're really excited to be able to share what God has been pruning from us in this and allowing to grow. And we really think that it's going to start just changing a little bit of how we share, what we share. We've got some different things in the works in the future, and we're just excited to share it with you. So and we want you to be excited with us. Yes. Because it's awesome.
Awesome.
Do you want me to do it?
The thing that has your name on it? I can do it. You want me to do it?
Yeah, switch it up. I like when we do that.
All right. I'm not going to cut this out either. This is staying in. All right. This has been the NixMyth podcast. We hope you've gotten a dose of real life.
No myth. Be blessed.